Does the Lamar situation in Baltimore feel odd to you?
Feels extremely odd. A lot of it even feels, or I'm starting to get the feeling that some people within that building don't want Lamar Jackson on the field in this game, and that this team may be better off if he isn't. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest talents in this league. What he's already accomplished has been monumental. But when you watch this team with a hampered Lamar, as opposed to what we saw from Tyler Huntley, also Derrick Henry and Todd Monken with that offense last week, was totally different. They were scary. They were physical. They were multiple. And those are things that they haven't been with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, last week there was an article written about Lamar talking about some of the ways he moves around the buildings. Those aren't things you normally hear about multiple-time MVPs. And that really makes me wonder, what are some of the conversations that are going on in the locker room in Baltimore, and why is there so much heat right now on their star quarterback?
Remember earlier this year when we were talking about Kansas City, and you said, look, don't get hung up on 2025 Kansas City because the tape says they're not that right now. Lamar's 6-6 as a starter this season, and I know he got injured against Kansas City, and who he has been, multiple MVP, we understand that, but who he is this year hasn't been that guy.
Okay, hey, man.
I'm not saying they're better without him. I'm just
listen. I'm not directing this to you
Understood.
or RC. I know y'all. I know how y'all think about Lamar Jackson. I am not going to listen to it. This team has won every season because of him. They have been in the playoffs, AFC championship games. They've made runs. This has been one of the best offensive football teams the last 5 years in the NFL. And we got one season where the dude been beat up, and I don't give a damn if you don't like how he come to the building. Your ass wasn't talking about that when he was out there winning MVPs and putting the team on his back when everybody else was injured. He ain't dropped the damn pass or called it not a touchdown with Isaiah Likely in the football game. He didn't fumble the damn ball against the Kansas City Chiefs when they could have won the football game. I ain't listening to that. I heard people talking about this while I was out of town last week. Lamar Jackson, they don't like the way he come to the film. They don't like. I didn't hear none of this when he was winning games consistently for the Baltimore Ravens. I remember Todd Monken not running the football in the AFC Championship game. I remember Derrick Henry just a week ago not getting a touch in the football game that they possibly could have won if they would have ran the football. But Lamar Jackson, the problem. It is crazy to me how this stuff manifests. And we hear a story now, and it's a story written that they don't like how it go. I ain't never seen John Harbaugh before this year not praise Lamar Jackson, not talk about how great of a teammate he was. I'm not going to sit here and listen to people talk about Lamar Jackson and the way he goes about football because of one bad season in Baltimore, when everything we've heard about him has been great coming out of Baltimore. Every game we've watched, we've acknowledged, you know what? He the reason Baltimore plays the way they play on offense. When Greg Roman didn't want to throw the ball down the field, we asked, could Lamar Jackson be a really good passer in this league? They go get Todd Monken. He's one of the best passers in the league. I ain't listening to this crap. I almost said the S word. Y'all go ahead and take it from here.
I think everything you said is true. And those are things that I believe all of us have echoed. I just said Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest, not just best, one of the greatest players that we have. The disconnect that Scott is asking about is, why are we hearing these things? Why do things seem different? And the reason is exactly what he said. This year, with Lamar Jackson, whether he's injured, whether he's hampered, whether he's not 100%, they are a 500 football team.
Right, that's a fact, not an opinion.
When you become a 500 football team, whether I care if Lamar Jackson wears a hoodie, if Lamar Jackson goes to sleep, I don't care about none of that. Ain't none of that my business. What matters to me is what I see on the field.
But RC,
that's what they're going to do.
It's also our job to talk about why they 500. We watched the Detroit Lions rush for 3,000 yards in the game. We watched them not be able to stop anybody.
Right. What we said then at that point, Swag, was that Lamar Jackson was playing at an MVP level, and nothing that was going on with the Baltimore Ravens at that time was Lamar Jackson's fault. That has changed.
I'm not trying to absolve him of the things that he has going on, but I think it's crazy that I would sit here in a year, in this particular year, in this situation, when Nnamdi Madubuike is unavailable, when your defense loses people all season long. Offensively, we've seen them make enough plays to win games at the end of games. Bro, I'm not going to listen to it from I'm not talking about you and Scott.
You're fine.
You're asking the question.
Oh, you're great. I love this energy. It's fantastic.
It's amazing that we get to this point, and now all the questions are about Lamar Jackson.
I think.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You're making an excellent point, and it's worth making. The thing is, when you lose and you underperform to the level they have all season, everything gets questioned.
Yep.
Right? The defense is already being questioned. We know they have the injuries. So Lamar is going to face that being the face of it. And Lamar has flaws. Everybody has flaws, right? But can you win with Lamar Jackson? Are these flaws all of a sudden he can't be an MVP quarterback? I think that's moronic to think, looking at the caliber of work that he's put forth. So what happens is you lose games and people overanalyze, like, oh, I remember being in Philadelphia and we traded Deshaun Jackson because he wasn't wearing the right socks to practice.
There you go. There you go, dog.
And then I saw him go for 80 yards on us against Washington.
I'm telling you,
let me just say this.
Please.
Lamar Jackson is a fantastic quarterback, and that is the point my man is saying right
and
here.
And nobody should absolve these professionals that's making $250 million for not doing their job at a high level. But it seems to me that this criticism came from an overall arching standpoint. Like, this who he been, and eventually it was going to catch up with him. I ain't hear none of that from John Harbaugh. I ain't hear none of that from Bisciotti. I ain't hear none of that from the offensive coordinators. None of this was talked about before this particular year. Now, guess what? Guess what's probably going to happen, Scott? Realistically, the Baltimore Ravens probably going to win 11, 12 games next year. And Lamar Jackson probably going to be in the MVP conversation. And we ain't going to have a damn thing about nothing he's doing outside of football. All right, go ahead. I'm done.
I'm done talking about Lamar. All I want to watch is Derrick Henry and Patrick Ricard.
Which sets up a monster game with Seattle coming in on Saturday. For the 1 seed in the NFC, you'll be watching that game Saturday night on ESPN and ABC. A spectacular doubleheader games that we're coming your way. But in terms of what we got in front of us, San Francisco, Seattle, those are the 1 seed possibilities, as I mentioned, for the Rams. And we're going to talk about this in all the time that we've got a lot of. The Rams got a 5-6 potential for tonight's game. But I want to just start right there with the San Francisco victory and the Shanahan-Purdy combo right now. At how high a level are they operating, fellas, offensively?
Well, they're operating at this moment at an MVP level at the quarterback position and at a coach of the year level at the head coaching position. And you can see the synergy and the chemistry that they have, but also the confidence they have in one another. There's so many passes that Brock Purdy is just throwing on time. Brock Purdy is just throwing to a spot because he believes in what Kyle Shanahan has dialed up each and every play. And then there are also the plays where we see Brock Purdy go above and beyond the X's and O's, utilizing his athleticism, utilizing improvisation, and then hitting the Dougie after he gets into the end zone. When you look at this team, there's no team playing offense at a higher clip. I mean, Morstead finally got an opportunity to go out and punt this game, and they still put up 42 points.
And one of the things I think is even remarkable about it is like how much adversity they've been through in the whole season. Even last night, Williams goes down early. They're without George Kittle, and the offense is still functioning the way it is. It's been a true testament to what Shanahan has established there as a coach, what John Lynch has established there with all the players. I mean, the fact that they are competing for the NFC West right now is remarkable.
Swag, all these things that are said here I think are true. I don't know that you'd object to any of them, so go ahead. But I'm just asking on
Can't stop a soul.
There you go.
I know where you're going.
I mean, look, it was entertaining as hell, but if neither Chicago's as opportunistic as anybody. They get the pick six. They turned the ball over more. They've turned teams over more than anyone else. But neither team can get a stop. Can you win playoff games if you can't stop anyone?
I don't think you can. And look, you talk about outscoring, but outscore who? You're not going to outscore the Rams, right? And the Rams, you would think, would get off the field 2 or 3 times in the course of a football game. Seattle, right? You know Sam Darnold is prone to making his mistakes and turning the football over, but that defense also is going to get you off the field. And for as much as I enjoy watching Brock Purdy do what he did against Indianapolis and also yesterday against the Chicago Bears, that is a part of the San Francisco 49ers that actually you used to hang your hat on. in the playoffs. And I know this looks a bit different with this playoff picture and people doing different things, but I think the most complete team is the one we're about to watch here tonight. When you talk about ability to change games on both sides of the football. Now, this is what I will say, though. Kyle Shanahan in playoff situations, figuring out a way to use his offense as defense. Now, I don't know what that looks like, but I know Christian McCaffrey was heavily involved. They ran the ball very, very successfully. And I have to think, JK and RC, is that when they get into this playoffs, they're going to have to limit possessions against the people that they're going to play. And I don't know how much that hinders his offensive game plan and how much he has to think about that going into the game.
I just don't think you can change. I think when your offense is producing at this high of a clip, you walk into the stadiums and you do what you do on that side of the football, but you can't expect them to compete the same way they used to when Fred Warner was healthy or when Nick Bosa was available. And so Robert Saleh has been trying to figure out how he can manufacture stops. We watched Phillip Rivers have a phenomenal first half on Monday night against the San Francisco 49ers, and now you see what Caleb is able to do. So what does that say this weekend when you're playing against the Seattle Seahawks, who you know can produce stops on the defensive side of the ball? Can you produce enough yourself?
Speaking of Caleb, I find it interesting in this season where 6 different times, man, they have come back from a deficit at the 2-minute warning. Last night was 4 seconds and 2 yards away from being the 7th. Already that's the most ever. But in the loss at Green Bay and in the loss last night, I feel like Williams has shown so much.
Oh, my God.
He said afterwards, we've shown we're going to fight. We've seen that. Do you almost buy more into them as a result of the loss on what they showed their ceiling is offensively?
Offensively is the word. I think offensively they proved everything they needed to last night. I think defensively there's obviously questions with how much they gave up, but Caleb Williams has answered all these questions throughout the season. He has continually gotten better. He's made much better being the on schedule within the rhythm of the offense player that he's been often criticized. And he's still able to be taking advantage of these off schedule plays and making things happen when they need to. And I think the 2-minute drill is a great example of that. He executed fantastically. He made plays when he had to. He scrambled when he needed to. He was on schedule when it was there. And he got them down into an opportunity to win the game. I thought it was a very, very impressive performance from Caleb and the offense.
The thing you say about Chicago right now is you have your franchise quarterback and you have the head coach you've been searching for.
Clearly.
Now it's how do we add the pieces around them to go win a championship,
And also,
because you have a foundation.
And also, let's be real. This team is ahead of schedule.
No question.
Like we didn't think that they would be here in this position this year with Ben Johnson. We all held Ben Johnson in high regard. We knew Caleb Williams had to progress. We thought he would get better. We thought Ben Johnson would be a phenomenal head coach. But thinking that and then seeing an 11-5 football team that's got a chance to go into the playoffs is a different thing. Kudos to Chicago, man.
Our first game of the year in September in Chicago, they had a big lead. It got away. This losing streak at home continues. All of Chicago's wondering, man, what do we got? Well, you know what you got? A playoff team.
And I know we got to go. I saw Caleb after that game in the tunnel, and he told me when I was leaving, it's going to be different because the people in the building are different.
In September.
He believed it that night.
Against Minnesota.
Yes, he did.
It's showing.
Guess what? He was right. He didn't lie.